And welcome to Southern Italy in the third stop of the 2023 Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series from Polignano a Mare, where the houses literally rise from the rocks along the deep blue Adriatic Sea here in Southern Italy. A stunning area. Trace Worthington along with Joey Zuber. Glad to have you in live from the scenic Puglia region, and the 10th season the World Series has dropped into this historic town. And Joey, you can always feel the good vibes, the energy every single time we come here.
Oh, I love it here. It's like a cliff diving auditorium. Totally fanatical spectators. They're everywhere. Across the way, on the cliffs, on the rooftops, on the beaches. And the athletes love the atmosphere here, no doubt.
They are everywhere. 6 total stops in the 2023 season. The World Series opener kicked off in Boston, USA, Paris, France, with the Eiffel Tower as the backdrop. Welcome stop number 2. That brings us to here in beautiful Polignano a Mare for today's events. Then off to Takachio, Japan for stop number 4, a brand new location. Mostar, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Love that place, stop number 5. And then the grand finale takes place in Auckland, New Zealand, which is also a new location to host the World Series. And this location, Joey, one of the most popular in the history of the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. And there's a big reason why we're celebrating the 10th anniversary here in Polignano. Let's dig into some of the past epic moments.
Okay, this is the first time we're in Polignano a Mare. Orlando Duque paving his way for the career. And have a look at this. A world first in the series. A running takeoff by Gary Hunt.
I totally remember that.
Not an easy landing, though.
That was fun. And then the women debuted for the first time in Italy, where Rochelle Simpson of the USA put on a show for the historic victory.
And here we have this early morning shot. All the divers up at 5 o'clock in the morning for this teaser dive, this athlete project. 12 different dive spots all the way along the coastline here in Mare. And look at that beautiful dive off the platform to cap it off.
Oh, but the biggest goosebump moment of all time was in 2017 when Italian Alessandro De Rose won in front of the home crowd. That was huge. And then in 2018, Joey, Gary Hunt and Rhiannan Iffland, this is when they began to solidify their dominance in winning here in Polignano.
Sensational diving by those two, as always. And then Maria Paola Quintero, the youngest ever woman to win a competition, the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series, second place there. And how about this? Can't forget this one.
Huge waves, the caterpillar walkway, the angry snake, probably the strongest competitor of all time coming through the past 10 years in Polignano. And this, the teaser dive project, when the amazing Red Bull airplane, Joey, was shot flying close to the platform while the athletes launched.
Gave me a little haircut on the way through as well.
And then the walkway to the platform, absolutely spectacular. And there's Amy Harrison making her way up to the platform. Everybody can get close and watch the athletes. But let's get you up to speed on how it all works in Red Bull Cliff Diving. 8 men and 8 women are permanent divers. 4 wildcard divers, Joey, are added to every stop for a total of 24 divers.
Okay, folks, it's 4 rounds of diving, each of them being judged, and every single dive counts. There's only 3 seconds to judge a diver's execution, which includes the takeoff from the dive point. Then it's about the position in the air and the form. And of course, you've got to get the water entry just right.
No doubt about it. Scoring pretty straightforward. 5 judges present a score between 0 and 10. The low and high scores are scratched. The remaining 3, they're multiplied by the DD. We're going to say that a lot. Degree of difficulty equaling the total score. So the bigger you go, backed up with a good landing, you're going to get the judges' attention, Joey.
That's right. So at every World Series stop, 4 total dives make up the final score, and points are awarded at each stop, and then those points are added together, which go towards the World Series standings. And now this season, 10 additional overall World Series points will be rewarded for the best dive performed at each tour stop.
And that kind of like winning the Larry O'Brien basketball trophy in the NBA or hoisting up the FIFA World Cup trophy, the King Kakili trophy is the equivalent for these divers as we look at a beautiful shot of Polignano a Mare in the 10th anniversary and the walk to the platform, a very distinctive location, history, agriculture. The divers exit from the beach, and it's like an open-air museum, Joey, just walking on those cobblestone walkways, and you see right there Xantheia Pennisi making her way up. Very intimate setting and location. 4 rounds of diving, 3 have concluded. Joey, let's take a look back. Who's doing well?
So this is round one, intermediate round, front triple half. Rhiannan Iffland in a familiar position, leading after round one, round two, and round three. She's so consistent. Also manages, Trace, to handle the conditions. Pretty windy yesterday. A little bit of wind today as well. And check this one out. Off the balcony, off someone's private residence. So this is Xantheia Pennisi. So the two Australians leading the charge. So Rhiannan Iffland leading, and Xantheia Pennisi currently in second right now. And we've also got Ellie Smart, the 1.5 twisting double. So in the competition, she's running fourth. But again, look at all the spectators, all the locals just looking at that. So imagine that, walking your way through someone's private residence and diving from the balcony.
Hello, everybody.
Let's switch over to the platform now where they perform their optional dives. And Molly Carlson screaming up from 6th position, as a matter of fact, right up to 3rd position right now, coming into the 4th and final round. So 4 dives in total.
Yeah.
This is the optional dives. It's all about degree of difficulty, and that's what we're going to see coming up in this competition.
And there are the judges right there. Hopefully they don't get seasick. Antonio Martinez of Mexico is the head judge. Shirley Mechcon is here. You have Valerio Palazzo. And Julian Linus is also here. Marian Reif of Austria, world-class crew there. Stacked with judging experience and diving intelligence. They have their work cut out for them today, just sitting on that boat. Beautiful day here in Polignano, Mare. 25 degrees Celsius, 77 degrees Fahrenheit. The water temp nice and warm, 24, 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And the wind not as bad as yesterday, so divers will not have those challenges they had coming into this 4th and final round. But you mentioned it earlier, Joey, 4 rounds of diving. We're getting right into the 4th, an important round. You kick it off with the low scores from the earlier rounds. Amy Harrison, followed by Elisa Cassetti of Italy. Miele Carpenter is in the mix there. Then there you go, where there's 10 total, 9 actually, with 1 not starting in Rhiannan Iffland. So Ellie Smart, Molly Carlson, Xantheia Pennisi, and no surprise, Rhiannan Iffland of Australia will be diving last. She has the highest score coming into this 4th and final rounds. So let's get right to it. You see the platforms right there. There's 2 of them. The lower one is the women's platform. That is 21 meters, 70 feet off the Adriatic Sea. The water depth, 6 meters, about 20 feet. Not that much. Nobody goes down and sinks to the bottom, Joey, but it's right there. It's pretty shallow. And these divers are going to be on their game. As the spectators, very well-educated crowd in cliff diving, because this is the European home to cliff diving.
It is.
And everything buoyant is sitting in the water right now to watch the world's best divers.
Yeah, they're truly fanatical around here. They've got these amazing cliff faces. They're a little lower than the platform here, but still all the local kids just love diving off it, and they appreciate what they're seeing here today.
So here's Amy Harrison. She will be the first to dive on the women's side. Then we'll get into the men after the women's rounds. 9 total women. The 28-year-old Canadian kicked off the season in Boston with a 9th place finish, known for her quad half. Is she going to be doing that on this final round?
Yeah, so she was actually the first woman in the world to do this. Very difficult dive. Huge degree of difficulty. So running front 4 somersaults in the pike position. So she's going to run towards the end of the platform. Why, folks? She needs as much height. She needs as much power and as much rotation as possible. You can see the dive description, rotating front up the top, then the somersaults, second down.
So you get into that red category, that means it's a very difficult dive. Some of the divers you'll see standing backwards, some of them you'll see standing forward. We'll talk about that in a minute. Some of them running takeoffs. Here we go. Amy Harrison of Canada. Tons of flips, 4 of them in, all with a half twist on the end. A little bit of a splash, Joey, but what a difficult, beautiful dive to kick off the women's 4th round.
It's all about risk versus reward in this particular round. So you have to push the limit. So the more somersaults and the more twists you do, the higher the tariff. But when the tariff is higher, you run the risk of not executing the dive all that well. Now, Amy's done a pretty good job with this. The arms throwing forwards. And in those somersaults, Trace and folks, your legs just want to slip apart. You need to really use the arm muscles to squeeze in as hard as you can go. Watch here carefully. The arms will throw. The arms will latch underneath the knees. You can see the knees bending a little. Some deductions there. But right at those points, sometimes your hands can slip out, and that does happen. So you need to be very strong. A lot of the athletes use some kind of a grip to make sure they don't slip out on the dive. A little shorter vertical, you can see the splash kicking up there.
She earned a BA in psychology and a master's degree in behavioral neuroscience, and NCAA All-American in 3-meter springboard diving. A lot of athletes coming from different varieties of sports, gymnastics, diving. You'll see she dropped the high and the low and multiply the remaining 3 by the degree of difficulty. So the score in the yellow is 72. That's on her dive right there, the 4th round. And then the grand total after 4 rounds, 220 for Amy Harrison of Canada. So young Alyssa Cassetti is up next at the World Series opener in Boston. The Italian placed 6th. As we keep an eye on her. She talks about that.
Elisa, so is this how you start every day, just on the terrace, going for a little bit of a dive into the water?
Yeah, I wish. The balcony was crazy and it was a house, so could be.
And how about the fans here in Italy and diving at home? What's that like for you?
It's super special. I did my first competition here and the crowd is always so big, so I can hear and feel their screams and stuff like this.
The energy is amazing when you stand out on that platform. Now, this season so far, it's been going quite well. Can you talk us through it a little bit?
Yes, I did my first competition in Boston and I got 6th place, so I was super happy also because the conditions weren't so good, so I hope to do my best here.
Right, good to hear from her, and the Italian crowd should be going crazy here in a second when they introduced the youngster, only 20 years old, wildcard diver, the youngest diver on the women's start list today. And there is Orlando Duque, the legend, our World Series sports director. In fact, he won the event here in 2009 to kick things off. A lot of history. And we're glad to have Orlando here as our Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series Sport Director. Alyssa Cassetti of Italy.
So Alyssa Cassetti talking to the safety divers, just guiding them and putting them into the right position where she feels comfortable, splashing the water. We'll talk about that after the dive. We're all set. Forward 3 somersaults, half twist.
So Cassetti coming in. Nice job putting that one down into the Adriatic. The Italian fans love it.
She's so stylish.
Basketball player before getting into cliff diving. Was inspired by Alessandro De Rose and the Italian crew, the youngsters, as we spoke about many times before, Joey, over the past few events. Coming on strong, some of these youngsters from Italy.
Yeah, they've got a great program, working with trampoline coaches, working with high-performance diving coaches. So the first part of the dive, the first 10 meters, is much like the Olympic sport of diving. And then here, that's called the Barani, a front somersault with a half twist, allowing the athletes to see the water the entire time, because it's very, very difficult making those adjustments. It's 71 kilometers per hour.
And this is the toughest part of the event right here, just the floating dock, especially when the waves roll in. Look at this.
Well, this is easy compared to last year.
So Alyssa Cassetti, you see here, again, 5 judges, the high and the lower toss. So on this particular dive, you see in the yellow, 71.40. Adding all 3 together on the left-hand side in the white, 257.80. So she'll move into the top spot and now set the tone for the rest of the divers. where she's only 3 to go of 9 total competitors on the women's side. This is the 4th and final round. All 4 dives count. And you see Ellie Smart, she's concentrating. She's coming up shortly. But she does about 4 minutes of breathing and just meditation. And there you see her in the zone, getting ready.
The mental aspect of this sport is so important. You've got to get in the right frame of mind. It's a lot at stake from 21 meters.
Look at that shot right there. Overhead shot of this beautiful town of Polignano Mare. It's the 10th anniversary, located in the Puglia region of Italy, the Adriatic Sea. The women's platform, once again, 21 meters, 70 feet off of the water. This is Maylee Carpenter of the United States, 35 years old, currently ranked 5th on the World Series points, now a permanent diver on the series. You see the heartbeat right here, the resting heartbeat 35. Her max heartbeat, when you test her, is 174, so she's right in that 137 range. And there she goes, put one down. There you go. That is a rip entry, Joey. And explain that when we talk about a rip entry.
Well, when you're on site, the sound is just incredible. I mean, it literally just sounds like you're ripping your way through the water, hence the term rip entry. And that's a great way to impress the judges, but they've got to look at the dives fairly. You've got to look at the takeoff. Is the takeoff powerful and strong? Is the position in the air right? Are the legs together? Are the toes pointed? Look at that shot there, traveling down to around about 4 meters of water depth there. Let's say around about 12 feet. So in these kind of dives, you can add somersaults and twists, choosing to do the twist at the beginning, the pike in the middle, where the legs stay straight. And it's just incredible how these athletes can adjust to the landing, hurtling at those speeds up to 50 miles per hour.
Our biggest question, does it hurt?
Yes.
There are the judges rocking the boat right there. So you see a bunch of 7.5s, all right? And then an 8. So the 8 will be tossed, a 7.5. She'll keep 3 of the 7.5s, multiplied by the degree of difficulty of 4.3. So again, 96 on that dive, 291.30, excuse me. She'll move into the lead. And Maylee Carpenter, 4 to go of 9 in this women's 4th and final round. Absolutely packed right here in Polignano Mare. Now, yesterday we talked about this, from the balcony dive. Maria Paula Quintero, beautiful dive. Look how intimate it is and how close the fans can get to it.
I mean, you got this tiny little narrow balcony. I mean, it's nothing. We're only talking about 20 centimeters to dive from there.
So that just goes to show you also how diverse these divers have to be.
Absolutely.
Going on the platform one day and then they're like, hey, we're going to go over to this apartment.
And you're like, really?
And we're gonna dive off the balcony for one of the rounds, just so you guys know. So cliff diving is very unique, not like your average indoor pool scenario.
Oh no.
Where you have like the 10-meter Olympic platform. This, folks, much, much bigger than the 10-meter platform.
Adaptability is key in this sport. They'll handle all kinds of conditions, wave, strong waves, strong wind.
Yep.
Relatively calm today in comparison to other years.
And her 23rd career World Series start. And she just turned 23 years old. Quintero coming in now. There's a splash right there, Joey, and we're talking about over-rotation a bit, I'm assuming, on this one. What does that mean?
Very good question. So when we see the replay, over rotation. So of course what we're looking for vertical, right? But of course you don't always find vertical. And once again, it's incredibly difficult to do that from these heights. So she's gone past the line of vertical, so over. And you just need to be just the tiniest little bit past that line. It's a bit like jumping into a manhole, and you'll feel it. Like if you're jumping into a manhole,
maybe your chin doesn't make it through.
Exactly, or if you're a little bit back, donk at the back of the head. So you can just watch here, just staying a little bit rounded. So it's very important to try and lift that chest as quickly as possible to find vertical. Great shot of the safety divers there.
Her stepfather, Miguel Garcia, competing today. He coaches her. He's coming up shortly for the men. We're in the midst of the women's fourth and final rounds. All 4 rounds count. So that dive, she'll get a 66, a grand total of 2:62.55. So second place for now as Maria Polignano of Colombia will make her way to the beach. Well, 2 weeks ago in Paris, Schmidbauer of Germany, amongst a very strong women's field, struck the World Series podium for the first time in her career. And here's what she had to say about it before we see her dive.
It was just amazing to finally be on the podium, and that it happened in Paris in front of the Eiffel Tower. It's just like a dream come true. I mean, or the first step of my bigger dream, but like, just feels great. And it took me so long. I was so close in Lebanon with 0.1 point. Missed the podium there, and I kind of thought, oh, I'm gonna have it like soon. I wasn't that sad. I was like, I'll get the next one. And then it didn't happen. Now I finally made a podium, so I'm really happy. It feels like it's just a relief. I feel like finally everything came together, everything you've worked so hard for. But at the same time, I don't know, it's more like, okay, I can do this. Now we do it again.
So finally her day came around in Paris, France, after many fourth place finishes, in fact 4 of them, and getting to that podium very closely in Lebanon, as she mentioned. And now let's see if that confidence carries over to here in Polignano Mare. So Schmidbauer, she'll have to throw something big here, Joey, to get up into the ranks, because she's running number 6, and we have a lot of big names coming up.
But in her favor, she does have quite a high degree of difficulty. Now she's going to stand on the platform, stand backwards, jump up, rotate backwards away from the platform. Back 3 somersaults, 2 twists.
There's the beach right there. Everybody's hanging out, having a good time. La Mamanakile is the name of that beach. It's a lot of fun, but it's very rocky. So yeah. You can't just throw down.
Bring your cushions, people.
Exactly. Again, the safety divers making sure that they're splashing just for those visuals. They go underwater with the diver to make sure everything's cool. The Schmidbauer of Germany with her 4th and final dive. Interesting story in 2015. Yeah. We caught up with her yesterday. She said, you know, I got started in cliff diving because I actually hitchhiked all the way from Germany down to Polignano Mare.
Which is the very southern tip of Italy, by the way.
Go watch. So she shows up. She said she was totally intimidated when she, you know, hanging out with all the best cliff divers in the world. And then she was inspired. Hitchhiked all the way back, by the way. Yeah. We were like, are you kidding me?
Must have taken like 3 days to get back to Germany.
But here she is now, a World Series podium finisher. But break down this dive.
Yeah, but I love that story of determination, going there, seeing it, being inspired by it, and saying, do you know what, I'm going to give this a go. This is not an easy sport. You can see there is Schmidbauer there, just having her chin out there. That feels like a bit of an uppercut. As we said before, the impact very strong. 10 G-forces in total.
So a lot going on there, and again, one of the most difficult parts of the day for any diver is just walking on the floating catwalk right there. So 281.85 is the grand total when you add all 4 together. So you have to show consistency in cliff diving. All the dives yesterday, 1 dive today, early before we came on live, went down. This is the 4th dive live, and Schmidbauer now in 2nd. So Maylee Carpenter of the United States still in the lead with her 291. Rhiannan Iffland. You can see how many times she's won here. Many, including the Puglia event, which was held on the same platform, but we will see her dive last. But that platform right there is on the balcony of a private residence, and it's a really cool vibe up there.
It really is, cool. Yeah, the Labate house.
Yeah.
Knock on the door, grab yourself a coffee, dive off the platform. That's the way we roll here in Polignano Mare.
And you see Schmidbauer in red. She was the last to go. Anybody in light gray right there, light blue, is the divers who already went. Anybody in dark blue still yet to go, including Ellie Smart from the United States, getting ready to launch into the Adriatic Sea, 21 meters, 70 feet off the water. And right there, Joey, she's just telling the safety divers to move around a little bit. They want them to be positioned properly.
So sometimes they want the safety divers in a particular position to help with the visuals. And they're splashing the water now to help them see the surface. It will not make it any softer. It's very transparent water. If you don't splash, you can't understand the difference between the bottom of the ocean and the surface. That'll cause you to miscalculate. Look at the heart rate, 133 beats per minute. Resting heart rate on the left, 54. That tells you the nerves and the fear before the dives.
So Ellie Smart getting her twisting back right there, but just a little bit of over-rotation causing that splash. And we talk about cliff diving is not always about the splash like it is in traditional diving. It makes a huge impact on the score, but nevertheless, not easy when the water shifts and it's moving around. It's not like that indoor pool where it's just calm and controlled.
No, and sometimes you can get quite unlucky. You might have a wave coming up, so the crest of the wave is coming up. You might catch it at the top, which means you have less room to finish the dive. So when it's choppy and wavy, it does make it more difficult. As well as the visuals. This is Ellie Smart, back double somersault, triple twist. She did actually test out the quad twist a little while ago. But here you can see, once again, though, that acceleration curve, that strong impact coming through the water, traveling down to around about 4 meters, depends on how you land. An over-rotation on this one once again. But at those speeds, very difficult to get the entry just right.
She does so much for the sport, a great ambassador. She gets kids involved in the sport. Founder and CEO of the Clean Cliffs Project, which they did 2 days ago here. A mission to prevent plastic pollution in our world's bodies of water. Inspires others to act through the art of cliff diving. She does a great job with that as she runs to the beach. She'll have to settle for a 267.10, Joey. Not a normal score for Smart and a dive. We usually see her drilling those entries a little stronger. So 267.10 will put her in a third. As the fans here in Italy having a great time. And look at this, Molly Carlson. This was awesome. Celebrating the 10th anniversary of the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series held in Polignano. The Illuminaire right there, the lights at night, a night dive, not easy.
No, it isn't.
You asked her about it. You asked her about it. She left you a message.
Yeah,
She's like, that was hard.
Yeah, she was like, oh, I just landed over. But actually, it didn't look that bad at all. But at
No.
nighttime, the visuals are so much different. I had to get the lighting just right.
Look at that.
Little project. Beautiful shot.
Picturesque scenery, the houses literally rising from the rocks, the rooftop terraces overlooking the sea. Absolutely breathtaking. Polignano Mare, a short flight from Rome, Italy. And Molly Carlson, who's ranked #2 on the points, ready to rock and see what she can pull off. So it'll be Molly Carlson, followed by the 2 Aussies. Xantheia Pennisi after her. Rhiannan Iffland will dive last. Then we'll move on to the men's competition. Current leader, Melee Carpenter of the USA, 291.30. What does she need to pull into the lead, Joey?
Okay, folks, we've got a huge dive here. Thumbs up to the judges, letting them know she's ready. She'll turn around, mark out the running takeoff. So look at the left, front 4 somersaults, pike position, legs straight with a half twist. Again, the heart rate starting to crank up.
130.
You've got to take a deep breath in these moments. She needs, make sure she can score above 5s.
Mine to be at like 205 right there.
Yeah, it'll start popping. Here we go.
Molly Carlson showing you what, she's #2 right now on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. Torpedo-like entry, difficult dive, that ought to pull into the lead.
Molly Carlson risking it all with that dive, and we talked about risk versus reward earlier. But if you want to be one of the front runners, you've got to throw it down and chuck those big tricks. I mean, this season has just been unprecedented.
Yeah.
The level of difficulty, the types of dives they're doing, arms above the head, that initiates the rotation. Trying to squeeze into that pike, the deeper the pike, the faster you can rotate. I'll explain that in the next replay. A hop, skip, and a jump. That's called the hurdle, throwing. And right there, you start to squeeze the body in, but your arms just want to slip out. You've got to use those abs, use those arms, and picking the right moment to come out of the dive. So aerial awareness is key. She was holding on towards the end of that. She was definitely rotating fast. She really stretched it out, but a good job recognizing the speed and how she needed to adjust. So that was a job well done by Molly Carlson.
So you have the judges hanging in there, rocking the boat, bunch of 8s across the board. She'll toss an 8.5 and an 8. The remaining 3 multiplied by the degree of difficulty. So Molly Carlson will settle for a 105.60, not bad on that 4th round dive, for a total of 327.70. So now we are in and above the 300 mark on the women's side with 2 divers remaining. And Xantheia Pennisi is coming up next. Now, unfortunately, well, fortunately here, she got on the podium in Boston at the season opener. Unfortunately, between then and now, she hurt her heels. Actually hit the platform, so she had to take the last stop off in Paris.
Yeah, exactly. So we're talking to her coaches, and actually her head coach gave her a call, or gave me a call and said, okay, we got a little bit of an injury. So they trained in the gymnastics hall. She was rotating in towards the platform and hit her heels, pretty badly bruised, so she had to take off Paris, but that was a smart move. She's pretty ginger. She was actually saying she keeps swearing the proverbials every time she kicks the bed. She's like, oh, my heels. Walking around the hotel room.
So there you have it in the red. Carlson in the lead with 2 divers remaining. Carpenter in second. So Carlson guaranteed another podium. So guaranteed 3rd. And now her final result will be in the fate of Xantheia Pennisi, followed by Rhiannan Iffland, to see where she actually stands on that podium. So Pennisi on the comeback. See how it affects her diving. Seems to be doing all right in the training rounds and in the earlier 3 rounds to even be in this position.
Molly Carlson there did a great job putting the pressure on remaining divers to come. So Xantheia's got to score above 8.5s. Pretty remarkable by Molly. Came back from 6th to 3rd. Second last diver for the women, Xantheia Pennisi.
Xantheia Pennisi coming in there, and Molly Carlson, a sign of appreciation, and you have the others, you know, they look at it and they go, how did, you know, they know what you did, right? They're all friends and they critique each other. And that is probably not the entry she wanted coming into the Adriatic Sea.
But this also highlights just how difficult it is to find vertical. You can just be minutely off. Let's have a look here. The back triple fall, keep those arms wide. It looked like she was pretty good. She just needed to get that last little bit of a snap up and a lift. This is the back triple fall. You have to use the arms to reach up to generate rotation. There's the pike. So once again, we need to, or in order to actually increase the degree of difficulty, the more somersaults, the more twists. She is looking at increasing the degree of difficulty later. Pretty good dive. It was just slightly off, slightly hunched. But all the athletes understand what it's like to be on the platform. And it's one thing to look down from below, but when you're standing and looking down, it's like standing on the 8th story of a high-rise. Nerve-wracking.
All bad. I'm just walking out on that platform. There's like there's no railings or anything. You look down on both sides, I freak out. So Xantheia Pennisi, what I love about her, always a smile, no matter what the result is. Coming in at 77.90. 308, so she does move into second. She is guaranteed a podium.
Yep.
But Molly Carlson now in the #1 position. And here we go again with the rivalry between Molly Carlson and our next competitor, Rhiannan Iffland.
Tit for tat. One more lady to go.
A great shot right there through the historic bridge encompassing the narrow arches and massive columns here and the town beach. It is just an amazing place immersed in culture and history here in Polignano, Mare. The castles, the museums, the pasta, the pizza, the fish, of course the gelato, Joey, all that stuff. But we're going to get into our final diver, Rhiannan Iffland. 6-time Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series champion. This is her 40th World Series start, the most of any other female. Current leader, Molly Carlson on the right hand, or in the middle now. Pennisi in second. Carpenter of the United States in third.
Sevens to take the lead.
So Rhiannan Iffland, not what we're normally used to seeing. You're usually seeing no no splash, but this is going to be tight and close, Joey. You're the expert.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? Like 96% of the time, I'll call it, you see this incredible entry, drilling it, ripping it. Still, I really like the takeoff and the flight in the air, but just a slight miscalculation. But the judges, now they're sitting side on. They're the only ones who can really see the angle right. So here's the takeoff. There's the twist at the beginning.
Oh.
The pike. Okay, just a little bit, yeah. So the form is important in the air. So we look at the takeoff. They have to jump as strong as possible, reach the arms up to get the rotation. You can just see the feet overlapping to try to stop the legs pulling apart. The judges do want to see nice pointed toes. They're just overlapping there. And then flattening the feet just to try to make a hole through the water. So this is a pretty interesting moment. As I said before, the judges are side on. They can see it best.
There you go, a bunch of 7.5s, and with the degree of difficulty and the high scores from the first 3 rounds, that ought to do it for Rhiannan Iffland. And did you expect anything different from the champ? Rhiannan Iffland coming in with 96.75. Not the highest score, but again, all 4 rounds are added together. Rhiannan Iffland, 345.85. So 3 for 3, 10 wins in a row across 2 seasons, and has won 21 of the last 22 stops. The GOAT of cliff diving right there.
And mental strength prevails here. And what Rhiannan Iffland does best is handle adverse conditions. So you see a lot of other athletes falter when there's a lot of waves or strong winds and so forth. She talks about how she relishes the challenge. And of course, she is now the most experienced athlete amongst all of the women as well. So she's been there, done it all, seen it all, and handled it all so well.
What a season so far in 2023. She is undefeated.
That's awesome. Love it.
All right. So Rhiannan Iffland in a very familiar position. Molly Carlson as well. Xantheia Pennisi. What a comeback. Injured between Boston and here with the heel injury. Takes Paris off, comes back, lands on the podium. Congrats to her. But the legend of King Kaakili has been looking over the shoulder of Rhiannan Iffland, sweeping the season so far.
Great stuff, Rhiannan Iffland, and a good comeback by Molly Carlson to come back from midfield. And also Xantheia coming back from the injury as well. As you said, very, very impressive.
So there you have it. Molly Carlson sandwiched in between the 2 Aussies. And where it all makes the difference with Rhiannan Iffland, Joey, is the consistency with 3 rounds. That's what cliff diving's all about. We had the balcony dive. This is round 1. This took place yesterday. And this will give you a good understanding of why she is the best.
So this is the intermediate dive round. So they actually started off the platform to round 1, and then we shifted over to the balcony, walked through the private residence, got in there, hopped off, and drilled the dive yet again. I mean, just what a spectacle.
Yeah.
For the locals here to see these kind of things. They actually did the balcony dive off a rooftop on the other side, but this year they decided to change it up. And then it's all about the optional dive. So this was round 3 from today, and you can see the conditions a little bit more choppy. Yesterday, the wind was in a different direction, keeping the seas nice and flat. You want it nice and flat for those rip entries, but Rhiannan Iffland always seems to have a good rip entry. But staying firm, staying consistent for the 4th and final round. And it's hard being the last diver on the platform. You do feel the pressure.
Right.
You know you've got to perform, and you're looking, or you know the other divers are looking at you thinking, is she going to slip up or not? And no, she did not.
All right, let's send it down to David O.C., who's on the beach with Rhiannan Iffland, the champion. Dave.
A familiar position here in Polignano, Mare, with a winning interview. Off camera, you said that was tough. Why so?
Yeah, look, that was a tough 2 days for me. You know, coming straight off the back of Paris, I was struggling with a little niggle, and which turned into kind of an injury. But yeah, I'm super stoked to get through it that way, and yeah, here we are again. I'm so happy.
And what was that injury, and are you on the mend?
Yeah, look, it's going to take a few days rest now following that. Just some tears in the groin, but yeah, you know, we power through. I guess it just shows the power of the mind. So yeah, I'm super relieved and super happy with that result.
Well, thank you so much, and we wish you the best in your recovery, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Dave, and congratulations to Rhiannan Iffland for this season, a repeat so far. So, throwing the hat trick down in 2023. And I tell you what, we're turning the corner of the season right now, Joey, with 3 events left. I mean, she could wrap it up and win her 7th King Cock Healy Trophy. And right now, there are the standings, 3:45.85. So Rhiannan Iffland out there and head of Molly Carlson. Just a very similar tit for tat like last 3 years. And Pennisi in 3rd. You have Carpenter hanging in there, and top 10 right now in this competition. Sorry. This is the best score dive. No surprise. Guess who this is?
Rhiannan Iffland.
Yeah, Rhiannan Iffland.
So you do actually get a bonus in the World Series, like we described earlier in the show. So an extra 10 points for your World Series ranking. And they're the kind of things that you want to do to solidify the lead. She's well and truly in the lead now in the series, but she was talking earlier about that injury. And this is the hard part. The midpoint of the series, you can see the strapping there on the leg. When you're going from competition to competition, immense load on the body. The traveling's not easy. Yeah, it's hard on the circuit, let me tell you.
These guys have all been doing so much back and forth, World Cup competitions, getting ready for the World Championships. A lot going on.
Yep, so we've got Fukuoka World Championships and Takahiro, Japan as well, directly after that event. So it's really important to make sure you keep the body in prime condition. But talk about prime diving right here. I mean, this is just exquisite. Coming from the trampolining background and diving background, high performance athlete in both disciplines, sandwich it together, bam, there you have Rhiannan Iffland.
And now 33 wins out of 39 starts, and Rhiannan Iffland, these are the World Series points. I mistakenly said that earlier over the final results for Polignano Mare. So there are the top 8 right now in the World Series points, and Iffland way out ahead. And again, that back and forth with Molly Carlson. Schmidbauer, though, with that victory and her consistency, puts her 3rd in the World Series. And each season, only 8 divers get invited back as permanent divers for the 2024 season. 4 wildcard divers will be invited to every single stop. That's why there's 12 total divers. Now, shifting over to the men's side, Joey, we're going to talk about methods of motion. And for this stop, we bring you when things go wrong. And why? Because everybody asks us.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time things do go to plan. But folks, this is all about dives not going to plan and why these things happen. There's a number of risks involved in the sport, ranging from striking the platform to bad landings and also injuries that occur underneath the water. Now here we have an extremely rare occurrence of an athlete striking his head on the platform. But why did this happen? Now here you can see the legs don't fully extend and the hips shift back towards the platform, causing him to come close and make contact. So the smallest of details matter in this sport. And moving on to one of the athlete's greatest fears, becoming disorientated in the air. And on this particular dive, the athlete must orientate himself by spotting the water after each somersault. But if he misses seeing the water, this can cause a loss of orientation. And of course, in this case, we see a bad landing. And then we also have scenarios where everything appears to be fine above the water, but underneath the water, it's a different story. Due to the immense speeds, the legs can be pulled apart, causing adductor or pelvis or knee injuries. This is why strength conditioning and concentration on entry is vital to maintain sufficient body tension. Now, a vast majority of the dives do go to plan, but this highlights the importance of technical training and aerial awareness, and of course, strength to withstand that impact.
Oh, all right, Gimeno making his way through the town, and like the women, 3 dives already in the books. The 4th and final round coming up for the men as Prygorov got up on the podium. There's our series leader. Constantin Popovici giving everyone the thumbs up. Three rounds earlier, Joey, what went down? You have Popovici right here doing a great job in his round number 1. Look at that. Look at that.
Smoking the entry with Popovici just in fine form, and this inward triple up. Look at the pike. I mean, head just folded against the knees, so leading after round 1. Bit of a slip up in round 3, so where is he sitting currently? So 4th right now. A little uncharacteristic. From the balcony again, triple half by Carlos Gimeno. And Gimeno running 6th currently. Look at that spectacular image, 25.5 meters launching from the balcony here. And
this was a great dive. Look at this.
It is. Whew. I love those simple, graceful dives. The 2 position, up, fly, actually the flying reverse, and then piking down for the entry. And Catalin Paredes finding form to be in the lead. And then Jonathan Paredes, how about this?
Yeah.
This is what you talk about. The style master, the rip master, bang!
Boom!
Beautiful back triple. And Jonathan Paredes is doing a fine job in the season, clawing his way back. And now he'll run 2nd last into the competition, meaning he's running 2nd in terms of the ranking. Well done, Jonathan.
He's had some troubles a couple years ago that started in France, and Johnny is back on his game. Good to see the fans and spectators out. Thousands of folks watching the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. 10th anniversary here in Polignano, Mare, Italy.
That's where I want to be.
That's our spot. That's our spot. Now, to bring you up to speed on the platform height. Now, the women, 21 meters, 70 feet. Now we'll move up to 27 meters, 90 feet. And then here is the running order. Remember, after 3 rounds, the lowest score goes first in Davide Baraldi, the local of Italy. Gary Hunt, uncharacteristically running in 4th. He's usually in the top 3. So there you have the final top divers and scores. Gimeno, Fedotov, Popovici dropped down into this place right here into 4th. So now you have the top 3 in Heslop. Johnny Paredes back in good form, and Catalin Paredes with that great dive off the balcony. He sits in the lead with a 294.80. Just a reminder, 4 rounds of diving, they all are added together. All of them count.
Great twists and turns at this particular competition. And now that is prime real estate there to watch. The 4th and final round for the men here today.
Again, the beautiful historic bridge here in Polignano, Mare, Italy. And don't forget to follow us on Red Bull Cliff Diving, at Red Bull Cliff Diving on Instagram, excuse me. Check out the Red Bull Cliff Diving Facebook page. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all the good stuff, photos, videos, especially from here in Italy. Fans on the town beach waiting the men, and they are ready for the local Italian, Davide Baraldi, the only male Italian representing today. Rode the bench last year, got the invite because Alessandro De Rose was hurt. Rode the bench this year, then his friend Andrea Barnabi got hurt just 2 days ago, so scored a spot today. Here we go. Davide Baraldi kicking it off right there as Elisa Cassetti, his teammate, likes it.
Oh, the Italians, they are so passionate.
You know, we asked him, said, pick a song that represents your current style and mood. Davide, what would it be? And his response was, It's My Life from Bon Jovi. You know that song?
Yes.
It's my life.
Mum, don't tell me what to do. No, but I'm really impressed. So he's a youngster, and it's all about gaining vital experience from these heights. So what you tend to do is just start with relatively easy dives. I mean, relatively easy front quad somersault. It's very important to make sure you start to understand how to adjust for the entry. Then down the track, as you accumulate experience, then you can start adding more somersaults and twists like we'll see later in the show. But nonetheless, Davide Baraldi, I'm sure he's lapping it up here in front of the home crowd. A-OK sign to the safety divers. They're also there to splash the water to help the athletes see the surface to adjust for the landing. Does not make it any softer, folks.
It doesn't make it easy when the jet ski drops you off on that wobbly floating dock right there. Just a reminder, this is the same landing zone as the women. The men's platform, 27 meters, 90 feet. 6 meters, 20 feet is the water depth. The high and the score are tossed out by the 5 judges. So the 6s you see across the board, multiplied by the degree of difficulty, 73.80. So moving to lead with 300.80 for Baraldi of Italy. Lama Manachile is the name of the beach, the famous town beach in Polignano Mare. On the Achilles heel of the Italian boot, that's where this is located on the Adriatic Sea. As we go up to the American James Lichtenstein, 28 years old, the only American permanent diver on the series, the only American male diving today here in Polignano.
Okay.
You throwing the quint?
Back quint somersault, so back 5 somersaults. See if you can count. 27 meters, 90 feet off. The heart rate, it's jacked.
Oh, there it is, folks. No harness, no net, no parachute. James Lichtenstein throwing down 5 flips, had troubles with it. We saw in training, and that was his best one he's done in weeks. And that's right there.
Yeah, as you're saying, no equipment. It's just you versus gravity and your technical skill. I mean, pushing the limits. I mean, 5 somersaults. Can you believe it? A big question we get asked is how do the athletes know where they are in the air? And that is the big question. So they jump up. Watch his head here. Counting the somersaults. Once, head flicking back twice, head flicking back 3, head flicking back 4, and waiting off the right time, kicking really high to make sure he can carry the rotation. Last time he kicked out a little bit early and he did not have enough time to finish the dive, but did he finish the dive in style? Yes, he did.
Whoa, all right, I just love when he walks out onto the platform because you know you're getting that quint for his 4th and final dive. Remember, all 4 dives count. 2 of them happened yesterday, one off a balcony, one of them just before this 4th and final round. So James Lichtenstein, the 5 judges weigh in. They'll keep 2 8s and a 7.5, multiplied by a big degree of difficulty. So 356.75 will be his total. He needed that because he's running early. And if you're running early in the 4th round, that means you had low scores coming into this 4th round. Gary Hunt getting warmed up. He's coming up shortly. The walk through the town. And that is Nikita Fedotov. At a podium finish in Paris. Coming in with a lot of confidence. And just walking through with the speed of his
You should see the reaction of the locals sitting there having their lunch like, oh, there's half-naked people.
All right, the guy who upgraded from a wild card diver in 2022 to a permanent diver in 23. He'll need to step on the gas pedal a little bit. Ranked number 11 at the moment, which is the lowest for any of the men's permanent divers that were invited for the whole series. So only this stop and 3 others left to earn points for the 32-year-old Miguel Garcia of Colombia. Beautiful shot overlooking the Adriatic Sea. There's just miles and miles of coastline. In fact, 800 kilometers, 500 miles of Puglia's scenic coastline. And the best cliff divers in the world. All right, so Miguel Garcia just not having the competition here in Polignano Mare that he's wanted. Just a little off on all of the rounds, but nevertheless, we're talking, guys, again, Joey, they're launching 27 meters, 90 feet. These elements are unique. The natural elements of cliff diving, not your average pool, 3 times higher than an Olympic 10-meter platform.
Yep.
That's what these guys are up against.
And when they're standing on the platform, actually yesterday they had a super strong wind coming from the land side, and it was like a side wind. And actually we saw Gary Hunt could barely stand on the platform. He had to stop 3 or 4 times before he could regather his concentration. The concentration here with the front triple, 3.5 twists for Miguel Garcia. He's a diving coach, but he said, I'm going to quit coaching for this season and maybe the next 2 to 3 years so I can focus on this sport. And folks, let me tell you, if you think these athletes have no fear, they always have fear.
Well, we asked him what the most terrifying aspect is of cliff diving. He told us the nature. He said it's always unpredictable. The wind, the waves, the cold, the extreme hot. So there he has an 80 on that one. So a grand total of 319.15. That puts him into second. Now next up, the unassuming cliff diving star from France. He's won here in Polignano 5 times in his career, 6 times if you add in the Puglia stop held on this same platform. We had a quick chat with the French favorite.
All right, so Gary, we're back in Polignano, Mare, somewhere that's quite close to your heart. What is it like to be back here diving?
I love it here. It really is the hub of cliff diving. There's no better place in Europe. There's no better place in the world to do cliff diving. So the crowd love it and we love them.
All right, and talk about this series. You've just been pipped at the post for that podium. Do you think this could be your event, and what's going on in general?
I feel like I've been diving pretty good. I've only made like small mistakes, but the other guys are proving that you have to be perfect nowadays.
And we've seen our Romanian Costa has been quite dominant, a position you've been in. If you were to give him some advice, what would it be?
Costa doesn't need my advice nowadays. He's past that. He's looking very, very solid. That's his job now.
All right, thank you so much and good luck today.
All right, thanks, Gary. Thank you, David O.C. And here he is, the 10-time King Kakili Trophy winner, the most decorated cliff diver of all time. He's, you know, if you want to compare it to other sports, to Kelly Slater, surfing, Michael Phelps of swimming, and Tom Brady of football, you can go on. But that's, you know, if you're new to cliff diving, that's him.
He's the dude, the Roger Federer, and the man was the first person to perform the triple quad. He was a real trailblazer. What a legend. Very humble human being. "90 feet off the Adriatic, 27 meters.
All right, Gary Hunt, a first-rate dive by the best of the best. Gary Hunt, again, running in the middle of the pack. So where is that going to impact him in terms of results? I mean, he's going to need a big score here with the names coming up.
That he would. So, and what we're seeing in this generation of cliff divers is massive degree of difficulty. They're really starting to push the limits. And that's what you need. So you need 2 things. You need degree of difficulty and you need execution. And that's what we've been seeing with the likes of Constantin Popovici, who we'll see later. But in terms of technique, Gary is just exquisite. But where he prevails and why he's done so well is his mental strength, his capacity to deal with nerves and fear. So a lot of the athletes spend time visualizing the dive. It's like you've got to see yourself on a movie screen. You have to picture the dive perfectly in terms of the takeoff, the flight, and the entry. Then also visualize what it's like to be doing the dive as if you're doing the dive. So you need many things. You need a strong technical background, you need a strong body, and you need a strong mind to be able to do this sport.
He's been busy too, Joey. Also hoping to qualify for the Summer Olympics, which will be held in Paris, his home city, 2024, just over a year from now. He's planning on competing in the 10-meter synchro competition. He was just in an event last week trying to qualify. So on that, 117, he'll move into the lead with 3:73.55, so it's what he needed to do. But remember, he's 4 to go of 12. Big names coming up on the list. And they're all glad that Gary Hunt dove now opposed to later.
Absolutely.
So you see Hunt on top in red. You see the lighter colored athletes have already dove. Everybody in the dark blue still yet to drop in, including Sergio Guzman, Mexico. Coming up next, look at a shot once again, Southern Italy. Puglia scenic coastline, town where the cliffs are the foundation of everyday life. And the European home to cliff diving. Sergio Guzman slid into the Boston stop early June as a last-minute wildcard entry. He's competed on the World Series since 2015. Wildcard diver since 2019. We're going to Japan next. He won there back in 2015. 16, actually. So Sergio, oh, there you go. So Sergio Guzman, talk about the rip entry. There you have it. Not a splash. He's happy with it. Sergio Guzman, 32 years old, of Mexico, in his 36th career start on the World Series.
I think he wins the award for the best reactions after the dive as well.
Yeah.
He always just gets so fired up. I mean, there's so much at stake. You're always thinking and you're nervous about the dive. You're wondering. You've got one side of your mind saying, don't do it. You've got another side of your brain saying, yes, you can do it. So you've got this constant inner duel within inside yourself, hoping you can do it right. Now, I want to talk about a topic. One of the other fears the athletes have is slipping out of the dive. Now, watch his hands on the shins. So a lot of the athletes will dry their legs off with a chamois or sometimes use a special kind of resin to create grip. So occasionally what happens in the sport of diving and cliff diving, you'll see them slip out. That's a big fear. And there it is, the Guzman reaction.
He comes out
up, fired up. He's actually almost clocked a few of the rescue divers every now and then. Coming up, taking a big swing. Like, whoa, buddy, take it easy.
He's fired up. Guzman taking a rest, taking a break. I mean, this just shows you it's exhausting. It's a far walk up to the platform as well. There we go.
Little salsa, little worm salsa, people.
362 on that. At the last stop in France, Alexei Prygorov checked off another goal by landing on the World Series podium after 23 appearances. It was an emotional and meaningful day for the Ukrainian diver. Here's what he had to say about it.
I have already, like from diving, many like medals, different type of competitions, World Cup, European Championships, World Series, Olympic Games, bronze medal. So I'm like that. For now, my sport is Red Bull cliff diving, World Series, and I'm really looking forward to enjoy this. Actually lost my father in February, so of course it's make me more, from one side it's make me more like hard to work, but from another side I know that he love it, what I'm doing, and so it's like make me work more harder and with love to this sport.
Couldn't be a nicer guy out there. The only Olympic medalist to compete on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. That was an Olympic bronze from Beijing, 2008, the 3-meter springboard synchro.
And how many people get to do that? Win an Olympic medal. He won the World Aquatics High Diving World Cup 2018. And now the Red Bull Cliff Diving podium to his name. Alexei Prygorov, you should be proud of yourself. There's Andrea Barnaba, actually, who was out of the competition.
They slipped up on some rocks, scraped up.
No.
It doesn't take much here. I mean, I've done the same.
When you launch yourself from these platforms and then you trip over and get injured, well, that's the way things go.
His buddy got a start. But here, it's all about Alexei Prygorov of Ukraine.
Now he's got a huge degree of difficulty. 4 somersaults, 2 twists, 5.1. Again, telling the rescue divers or the safety divers to splash the water to help him see the surface, and he needs that. It's very transparent. Sometimes you can't tell the difference between the bottom and the surface. We're all set.
There you go, Prygorov backing up and validating what he threw down in Paris. He has been diving exceptional. The only issue here, he's running 6 of 12.
Yes.
That was a great dive, but again, it takes all 4. 2 rounds yesterday, 1 round earlier today. This is the 4th and final round. All 4 count.
He's done a fine job with this particular dive. He needed that, just a slight miscalculation on the previous dives. Entering the twist, entering the pike, this is where the dive gets really heavy. You have to really start working hard, using that aerial awareness, that orientation, that light and heavy feeling. But now all he can do is sit back and watch the other divers, but a good entry. It's incredible how he's transitioned from springboard diving 3 meters all the way up to 27 meters, 90 feet up. Big kiss to the crowd. But now we are left thinking, what do the judges think?
Halfway through the men's 4th and final rounds. Prygorov, 5 judges, the high and the lower toss. As we should see there, so he'll keep 3 7.5s multiplied by the degree of difficulty. 114 on that dive, so 391.35 is the total after 4. Carlson, big hug there from a woman who was in 2nd place earlier in the women's competition. Rhiannan Iffland was the winner. Carlos Gimeno, 33-year-old of Spain.
Okay, we've got
Is he doing an arm stand?
The battle of the back. Queen somersaults, back 5 somersaults. Same dive as James Lichtenstein we saw earlier.
Wow! Carlos Gimeno right there with 5 flips. The top-ranked wildcard diver on the World Series in the standings, ranked number 2 behind leader Constantin Popovici. That's Prygorov. He loves it. He's leading right now with a 391.35. And Joey, I love this story.
Yeah.
3 months ago, I said, who are your predictions? And you said, Carlos Gimeno. Keep an eye on him this season. I'm like, what do you mean, Carlos Gimeno? Like, it's got to be Gary Hunt. It's got to be this guy, this guy, this guy. And you might, nope, Gimeno.
I mean, it's everything, right? We saw him in Fort Lauderdale, USA at the World Cup, and you could just see his demeanor, his body language, the way he was training. I mean, he's just physically in the best shape of his life. And we were talking about, what's the difference between Carlos Gimeno version 2022 and 2023, and he talked a lot about focus and visualizing. He said, no, you don't just picture dive, you got to see it right. You got to picture all the details to get it just right. Very, very impressive athlete this year. Right,
so high degree of difficulty on that. See if it pays off. It does. 113.95. So Carlos Gimeno of Spain with a 393.75 after all 4 rounds are added together. Now, Gimeno is 7 to go of 12. Warming up, Constantin Popovici. He's coming up in 2. And that is Catalan Preda. He's the leader after 3 rounds. So he will dive last, making his way up the whitewashed cobblestone walkway to the platform. Focused. Nikita Fedotov next to dive. The independent athlete, 28 years old. What's he doing?
He's directing the traffic, I'll call it, so directing the safety divers. And it's mandatory to give an okay signal. You can see the chamois that he's holding as well. That's to dry the legs to ensure the athletes don't slip out of the dive.
So you see here, Gimeno, top spot, 393. Popovici coming up, following Nikita Fedotov. What's he got for a dive?
Now, Nikita Fedotov always brings something interesting to the table. Very unique dives. Reverse 3 somersaults, 3 twists. He's going to face forward he'll have to move forward and rotate back towards the platform. Super, super hard.
So Fedotov putting one down. Well, that moved the needle and impressed the judges. He needs a big score. You gotta love the other athletes down there and the competitors on the women's and men's side, including Gimeno, you have Lichtenstein, you have Carlson. They're all hanging out, watching, cheering each other on. But will Nikita Fedotov get a big enough score to fend off those who are coming up, including Constantin Popovici next?
Now he would need 7.5 from the judges to take the lead. So that's reverse. Now, in order to make sure you can finish the rotation, you can see shorter vertical there. You can see the splash coming forward. If you get too much distance away from the platform, you can see it doesn't extend the legs enough. So you actually need to stay pretty close to the platform. A dive like this gets incredibly heavy at this point because you're moving forwards. So that makes it hard to finish all those rotations. So that's why it gets increased degree of difficulty for that takeoff direction. If you did it backwards, far less degree of difficulty, but pushing the limits, and that's what we respect.
5 judges getting thrown around the boat a little bit there. I wouldn't want to be in that spot. All right. So Nikita Fedotov with a 99.45 in that 4th dive. 381.05, so not enough to pull ahead of Gimeno and Prygorov. So right now, 3rd place for Fedotov. And here, again, another uncharacteristic position. Constantin Popovici, our World Series leader who's been on fire, is diving number 9 of 12. Heslop, Paredes, and Preda are coming up shortly. So our World Series leader, who's won the first 2 stops, now finds himself in a position, if he wants the hat trick, has to pull off something special here.
But watch carefully. Look at this dive. The tariff right up to 6.0. Are you ready to be impressed by how he starts this dive? An arm stand. Back 3.5 somersaults, 3 twists. Just standing on the platform alone is so nerve-wracking. It's got to be very careful not to overbalance.
There's not a little gust of wind. Leader Gimeno.
Risk versus reward. Got to be so careful. Just steady. No sudden movements.
Oh, he's so cool. Oh, the awesome meter just went to a whole nother level. And Carlos Gimeno, the leader, seems excited yet nervous.
Constantin Popovici turning up the heat and impressing the crowds here in Polignano and Mare.
I mean, this guy, we call him the Romanian robot, 34 years old. When he was 5 years old, he remembers his father making him do abs and push-ups, and he had to run 4 kilometers every Sunday, he says. But he says he appreciates the support of his father, provided him throughout his career since a young boy, and these are the times that pays off.
Exactly, giving him the foundation. We've had some good conversations with him, and he talked about, a little split of the legs. And focus is important. We were talking about, hey, do you like hanging out the balcony and warming up? It's a great atmosphere. He goes, nope. I like to get into my little room, my zone, and focus. And that's what he needed to do to get scores like that.
Oh, he's like that dude in the gym that doesn't want to talk to you.
Yeah, get away.
All right, so Gimeno, again, looks on nervously. And with that dive, and he saw the 8.5s across the board, doing the quick math, that should pull into the top spot for Constantin Popovici of Romania. The Romanian shark gets it 153 on that 4th round dive, 4:39.40. So Popovici breaks the 400 mark and sets the tone with 3 divers remaining. Wow.
Yeah.
So Popovici pulling one out and needed it bad with 3 divers coming up. Remember, all 4 rounds count. So it's Popovici, Gimeno, Prygorov. That was the podium in a little bbit different order. The last stop in Paris. But Heslop, Paredes, Preda coming up.
Constantin Popovici, coach there down there, supporting him.
And now it's Aidan Heslop. Made his debut here at the age of 16, still the youngest diver ever to start in a Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series, and now at 21 years old, one of the best. From the UK. Going quickly with the running start. Whoa!
Aidan Heslop!
Oh, his girlfriend Molly Carlson going berserk. Well deserved. Popovici knows it. That was absolutely Richter. I'm bringing that word back.
6-point, ridiculous 6.2 degree of difficulty. Giving it all he's got. And I believe he'll need 8.5 from the judges if he's ahead to push ahead of Constantin Popovici. Wasted no time on the platform. The running takeoff, currently the world's hardest dive. Front 4 somersaults, 3.5 twists. And as we saw, he started with that running takeoff to give himself maximum power. Great shot, hurtling through the water, down to around about 4 to 5 meters. 10 G-force of impact. Mega.
Oh,
you can see the platform. It's a lot of pressure on the platform. 3 twists. There's where he was talking about this, how heavy the dive gets, having to use maximum abdominal strength, maximum concentration, and hopefully for maximum scores for Aidan Heslop.
Wow.
Whoa.
Look at that, folks. We got some 9s going on. He'll drop 1 9 and an 8.5. So again, the high and the lower toss. And Aidan Heslop flexing and fired up. 161.20, absolutely massive. So 448.60 for Heslop. That puts him into the #1 spot. And the score to beat with 2 divers remaining. A guy, once again, who kicked off his career at the age of 16 here in Polignano, Mare. Now the 21-year-old finds himself on top of the podium above the World Series leader. Popovici won't get the hat trick. Gimeno in 3rd. And here we go with Jonathan Paredes. Great dive yesterday off the balcony. His 66th start on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. One of only 4 men ever to win the King Kak-Healy Trophy.
He's put himself in a great position. He's had 3 incredible dives. If he scores above 7.5, he can actually take the lead. And if anyone can do that, Jonathan can.
There you go! Oh, Johnny Paredes! Absolutely disappearing. And he is going to be so stoked about this.
Talk about lead changes. Exciting competition, slapping the water. No way. What is going on?
We talked about a couple years ago, lost a little bit of his way in the air, had a hard time coming back. That happened in southern France, and he's been working through that the past couple years. It's been really difficult for Jonathan Paredes. Hasn't been on the podium in a while.
So now the other athletes like Constantin Popovici have a higher degree of difficulty. But when they have the high DD, you've got to come in with high execution and style, right? There's the takeoff. Coming to the pike, choosing to do the twist in the middle, re-entering the pike. And we do call him the Rip Master, the Style Master. There's the Barani, the trampoline maneuver, and athletes landing feet first. Why? Because they're traveling at 85 kilometers per hour, 53 miles per hour. But what matters now is the scores!
9.5, so 2 of them up there. He'll throw out 1 and a 9. Absolutely massive scores, but will the degree of difficulty, as you mentioned, pay off for Johnny Paredes? So we get to 129.25. Huge score, but with the degree of difficulty, that won't cut it. 418.45. But Jonathan Paredes has to be happy with that. On the podium for now, but 1 diver remains. Now Aidan Heslop guaranteed a podium. Popovici guaranteed a podium. And the fate of where they stand on that podium is in the hands of Catalin Preda. here we go, our final diver on the men's side. So after 3 rounds, he had the highest total when you add those 3 together. So he dives last. He's got a peek at everybody's dives. He knows what to do, knows where he needs to be score-wise. The 32-year-old of Romania, as of last Thursday when he turned 32, got off to a slow start in Boston, placing 8th. Small improvement in Paris 2 weeks ago, finishing 6th. Needs to find his mojo here and deal with the pressure. That is going to make or break. That is the game changer. That is the difference for this guy right here. It's going to be the mental strength. Does he have the degree of difficulty?
5.1, back 4 somersaults, 2 twists. And just getting the safety divers into position. Imagine the heart rate right now.
Oof, you can hear it.
Last man standing on the platform.
His heart rate, his resting heart rate 48, max heart rate 196 when tested. So right now, 127. See if that goes up or down. Seems pretty chill, Joey.
Despite the heart rate, find the Zen moment.
Paredes putting a little hot sauce on that one. Whoa, this, folks, we have a serious competition going on right now.
Cool, calm, and Catalan. How about that? Cool, calm, and Catalan nailing the entry. Aidan Heslop jumping up and down, feeling nervous about the results. But great to see Catalan Preda back in form with the back, quad, double twist, honing in on the entry. So stylish, so clean. Tearing his way through the Adriatic here in Polignano, Mare. Good elevation. He's such a good athlete. He works incredibly hard on his strength training, his mental game, and his technique. And you've got to put all of those details together. This sport combines diving, it combines trampolining, it combines bravery to make formidable cliff divers. And who will be the winner here today in Polignano, Mare?
Aidan Heslop hoping to win his 3rd World Series of his career. Same with Preda, leaving it up to the judges. A 10 on that on the far right-hand side by Marian Reif, the judge, and a bunch of 9s. But that, ladies and gentlemen, won't be enough when you add the degree of difficulty after you toss the high and the low. As the congratulations and celebrations begin for Mr. Aidan Heslop. So with the score for Preda coming in, 3rd round, 137.7. And again, doing the math after seeing the judges' scores, 432.50, 3rd place. And Heslop, the champion in Polignano Mare. And what an iconic place to win. This is like winning the Masters. This is the French Open for these guys. This is big.
I loved the reaction on Aidan Heslop. He just looked so relieved because he was sort of midway through the field and he had to sit back and wait to see how this story unfolded. What's all you can do? You can just do your dive and just go, I hope it's enough, I hope it's enough. And it was. See, look at that reaction. Great stuff, Aidan.
It's Heslop's 16th start, 8 career World Series podiums, and now 3 wins.
Trailblazing, pushing the limits, trying out new dives. This is the new generation.
His girlfriend Molly Carlson, 2nd place on the women's side. Johnny Paredes, hats off to you, my friend. What an outstanding performance, back in form. The Romanian Sharks Popovici, Preda, 2 and 3. Circling the waters of the Adriatic Sea here in Polignano, Mare, landing on the podium. But this day is about Aidan Heslop, the 21-year-old of the UK, who seems to be back in form. So there you have it, the top three marinating in success. Aidan Heslop, golden, fends off the Romanian Sharks. Popovici and Preda, second and third. So again, it takes 4 to tango here at the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. Got to have consistency all 4 rounds because they all count. Round 1, Joey, a little bit different conditions yesterday, but he nailed it.
You could see how calm the seas are there because the wind was coming from a different direction. And as you said, it's 4 rounds of diving, and it's not easy to get it right. That's a super cool dive, reverse double pike, slide over rotation, but he made up for it with DD in the platform dives, looking at the toes, flying his way down from 25 meters from the balcony, lapping up the atmosphere in front of this huge crowd here in Polignano Mare. Round 3, rocketing through the water is the triple quad. So he's a big fan of Gary Hunt. Gary Hunt did this dive and he thought, I can do it as well. And perhaps this season we may see him do the exact same dive but adding a somersault. We'd love to see that in competition. And then busting out the world's hardest dive, the front quad 3.5 twist, smoking the entry. Maximum effort, maximum power. So exciting, so dynamic. This new generation of athletes just blows my mind and blows the mind of the judges here today.
Very Evil Knievel-esque, but right now let's head down to the town beach in the hot spot with Dave O.C., who's with the champion, Aidan Heslop. Dave.
Aidan, what an incredible moment this must be for you. You started, if I'm not mistaken, today in about 9th position, so you had your work cut out for you. How did it all come together?
Yeah, starting in 10th today, actually, it was not a good day for me yesterday. I had some work to do. I put both of those dives down like I haven't done them that good in competition in a while, and that's how they should be. So I'm definitely happy with the win, but like I'm satisfied with my dives because that's how they should be.
And then what about sitting here watching the rest of the divers? I could see you look stressed. What was that experience like?
It was pretty crazy. I mean, when you're on the platform, you're a little bit stressed, but you're stressed about the dive and trying to focus. When you're down here, job's done, adrenaline's gone. All you have to do is sit back and watch, and that, for me, is definitely the hardest part.
And how does this set you up for the next few events?
It's pretty good. I mean, Paris was not my event, Boston a 3rd place, so I've kind of built my way back up the world ranking leaderboard a little bit, which I definitely needed to do, so it's a step in the right direction for sure.
Thank you so much and enjoy the moment.
Enjoy the moment indeed. From 2018, when he made his debut, he was 11th place at 16 years old. And here he is at 21 years old, enjoying another victory, victory number 3. And at one of the most historic locations you can win, Polignano Mare. So Heslop winning gold, taking care of the Sharks, but Constantin Popovici, what a comeback from him from mid-start list, and then Catlin Preda on the podium. Once again, Johnny Paredes, what an outstanding job. And Gimeno still hanging in there with the points. Gary Hunt in an unfamiliar position in 8th, and you see the Italian, Davide Baraldi, rounding out the top 12, gaining some experience.
As Aidan said, back in 10th and then coming all the way back to take the win.
And here's the top scoring dive, so an extra 10 points.
Exactly, you get the 10 points in the series bonus, but you'll take everything you can get. You never know what can happen. But I love watching these required dive rounds, the nice, smooth and stylish ones.
Absolutely. So the World Series standings, this is interesting. Popovici still holds it down. Now Aidan Heslop moves right in there, bumps Gimeno down one spot. Gary Hunt still in fourth. Things are shaking up now, and most likely will start to unfold at the next stop and really get a good visual of who's going to win that King Kakili Trophy for 2023. Speaking of Japan, now that 3 stops of 6 have been completed, we turn the corner for the second half of the 2023 season. We head 10,000 kilometers from here in Italy to Takachio, Japan. Brand new location after a 7-year hiatus on the World Series. That's the last time it took place in the land of the rising sun. The Takachio Gorge is one of the most sacred areas, and we look forward to the extraordinary access granted to the World Series. It all goes down on August 3rd, folks, where things will start to take shape, as I mentioned, in terms of which divers are running for the coveted 2023 King Kakili Trophy. For now, that's it from Polignano, Mare, and the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. As always, an amazing host, town, and venue for the divers and the entire crew. Congratulations to Rhiannan Iffland and Aidan Heslop. Looking forward to our next stop in Japan. Until then, on behalf of Joey Zuber, David O.C., I'm Trace Worthington. Thanks for watching. Ciao from Italy.